Singing this song, I see I was wrong. To chain you down, I was the clown. I'm singing this song, I see I was wrong. To chain you down, I was the clown. I know now what you're all about. I've had the chance to run out. I paid for the touch of your hand. Your love is so, so grand. Oh, baby.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Max doing another live video today on XRP. So with that said, I hope everybody's doing great in this great world. We're going to start things off with the first comment of the day and welcome everybody who's here. But please smash that like button if you haven't done so already. And before we get into the comments, we're going to give you guys some headlines of what's happening within the last hour or so in regards to crypto. And also giving you guys a heads up about the headlines for today. We're going to talk about the bull run thesis part number 14, some QNT, Jasmy, some XRP, and some Stellar. Thank you for being here tonight. Glad to be back with you guys. I have some announcements to make after we see a few more people come in here tonight. So let's start things off with the one, the only, Mr. Tim Shea, who earlier did say, hey, but it got erased on the comments. Thanks for being here, Tim Shea, Mayor of Crypto Commissioner, representing the 588th District of the XRP Army. Booyaka! All right, glad to have you back, man. On top of that, let's turn some things back on. Here we go. That's some good stuff. And where's the next one? There we go. All right. Yes, Maximus is definitely getting some gray going on. All right, we'll fix that when I can. And on top of that, we got the one, the only, Boomer Effing Sooner. Boom, right back at you, my friend. Boomer Effing Sooner, welcome back. The one, the only, Mr. Boomer Effing Sooner. Okay, we're going to get more into this. Brittany. Let's see what's going on with Brittany. New look, new style. Let's see what's going on. I got to zoom in a little bit. All right. Looking sharp as usual, and she's alert. I like the avatar. Looks good, Brittany. She's saying hello to Tim and Mr. Boomer Effing Sooner. All right. Thanks for being here, Brittany. Boom. All right. Going further down, we got the one and only Edward Vincent. Give me the thumbs up. Don't forget, smash the like. Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Edward Vincent, a.k.a. Squidward. Doing it better than anybody else. All right. Patrick Collier is also in the house. What up, guys? Glad that you guys are here. Thank you for being here. I did want to start 15 minutes ago, but ended up getting a phone call that was very important in regards to my dad. He came home Thursday night, then had to go back to the hospital Saturday night, and then he got, discharged earlier today, but he has to go to one of those rehab places again for physical therapy and stuff. So man, three weeks. It's just something else. Anyway, thank you for being here, Patrick Collier. Appreciate you, man. Mike, also welcome. He says, good evening. Welcome, Mike. Glad to have you back. And we're going to welcome a few more people. Mike says the US dollar is weakening. That's not good. That is, I guess, one way of looking at it. Yes, that is true. Creates just, that much more supply and demand. I did see earlier today, speaking of which, we'll welcome a few more people, but we'll pull this up on the screen, and that basically is this right here, and that's the overall crypto market. Now, earlier today, we ticked up as high as 1.22, and it kind of pulled down a little bit. And I did see at the time some related news of what you're talking about, Tim, Mike, and so on, I should say. I don't know if that is because of that. It's kind of funny when it comes to the market, but on the fear and greed index, we have pulled down a little bit. We were as high as, I don't know, in the 60s about a week ago. We're at, kind of a neutral area, but Anyway, that's what's going on with that. Thought I'd leave that up there for a bit. And on top of that, give me a second. Excuse me, guys, stop coughing. All right. Yeah, but on top of that, we're gonna get more into some of the comments. I also want to welcome Mr. Brian Riley. Thanks for retweeting up the show and being a regular. Brian Riley, really appreciate you, man. That's awesome that you like the show. You're obviously a regular. Welcome back. All right. Big Dave is in the house. Welcome back to Big Dave. Good to see you. Michael Montclair, the musical talents of Michael Montclair. Hey, everyone. Hey, Michael. Glad to have you back. River's in the house. Welcome back, River. And I think that's about it. So, with that said, we are going to just kick it into our outline. Please smash that like if you haven't done so already. Let's see how we're doing on the likes real quick. We're at 20. Wow, you guys are kind of getting accustomed to this. So this is cool. All right, it might be one of those kind of funny days for the show. I don't know how well we're going to do it with attendance, but it's okay. We'll grind through it. Maybe more people come in, but it's okay. We have hit all our goals that we need to do. Let's just jump right into what we have for you on the lineup. So first of all, we're going to give you guys some mainstream news first. It was reported about roughly about an hour ago. And so I thought I would jump into this. It's a very important announcement. It affects everybody. And, every now and then we give you guys some info. We don't want you to get scammed about anything at all, right? So let's just jump into this. And before your eyes pop because you see certain words on the screen, got to get into about, what this is all about and so on. So reported from Cointelegraph, believe it or not, all right? Like it says 1 hour ago. Says I'm not trying to do DJ talk, but that's just how it is. It says, for instance, Pink, yeah, that Venom, Inferno, drainers coming for a crypto wallet near you. Crypto wallet drainers or sweepers are malicious smart contracts that can quickly empty a crypto wallet of its funds and are standard tool for phishing scammers. Now, some of you guys may have seen things similar to this. This was, again, a recent report. I believe it's it's like a 3-minute 29 cent or 29 cent. What am I saying? 3 minutes and 29 seconds. Excuse me. Little read up, if you will. I'm gonna see if I can yeah, I'm gonna go down here for a second. I'm seeing if that was a video, it wasn't. But yes, like it says, 4 major crypto drainers have emerged to fill the vacuum left by the notorious wallet sweeper monkey drainer. I know all this terminology just seems kind of odd. Let me see if I can actually blow this up a little bit more. No, that's about it. But anyway, with thousands of victims targeted and millions in crypto stolen already this year. Again, some of us have heard about things like this, but typically speaking, when you see things like, I don't know, if you guys remember the whole thing with Bonk DAO, Nick Sarah and stuff like that, that's a whole different type of thing. So with this, like it says, crypto drainers, right? Just as it sounds, called Pink Drainer, Inferno Drainer, this one right here, and Venom Drainer have gotten together and they have stolen $66.4 million worth in total since around the start of 2023, according to Dune dashboards compiled by Web3 anti-scam platform Scam Sniffer. Now, of course, we have all sorts of different sniffer programs out there. There's Token Sniffer to view contracts, typically like ERC20 tokens, Binance Smart Chain tokens to see if, a contract passes, our own little private self-audit. This is a totally different thing. I mean, there's all sorts of different sniffers. So this is a scam sniffer. In relation to, or back on topic in regards to Venom Drainer, they have stolen nearly 27.5 million since February. I mean, you got to keep in mind, this is only a few months ago. The most out of the group. Inferno Drainer is the second with over 21.2 million stolen since January, but has 3 times the number of victims as, 45,800. I'll tell you this much. Bottom line here is, from what I've seen, this is mainly for like people like consistent use like MetaMask and so on. I know that most of you guys, for instance, use, like ledgers and so on, right, for your cold storage. But nonetheless, I mean, let's face it, there's some cryptos that just simply don't have that type of compatibility. And lots of you guys, for instance, still store things, on those types of wallets. And I'm not pointing fingers or anything, just trying to give you guys some of the info. This other one, you know what, Drainer and Pink Drainer together have been used to still over 6,000 victims with 17.5 million in funds. Here's some of the numbers about that and so on. Just to give you guys a heads up, like it says here, crypto's drainers work by having the victim unknowingly agree to a malicious transaction in their crypto wallet that allows a smart contract to transfer out a portion of assets or the entire content of that wallet, basically. Of course, depending on the transaction that was signed. Scam Sniffer told Cointelegraph, this is where that article comes from, that most crypto drainers are rented out to groups undertaking phishing scams, and the drainer, of course, takes a percentage cut of the loot. Some people, of course, feels, well, what's the big deal? I mean, if there's proper things in place, like from CertiK, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Well, they do address the whole CertiK thing. So it says, many operate on this pricey model, but some have an additional access fee. Blockchain security firm CertiK explained that Inferno, like many other drainers, quote, has a 20% commission, while Venom has introduced an initial 1,000 fee for first-time users. Excuse me. Scam Sniffer says some drain services advertise add-ons, such as including malicious signature requests that emulate popular non-fungible, NFTs and so on. My rule of thumb is this: I will use only trusted plugins. I'm just being honest. If you guys know about some of this stuff, when it comes to plugins, it's not good to have plugins even running in the background. If you're going to use MetaMask, for instance, as a plugin on your web browser, no matter what web browser it is, I'm just going to throw it out there, like, Google Chrome. Just a good rule of thumb is to disconnect that plugin after you're done using the service, for instance, like, connect it to your MetaMask and so on. I know a lot of you guys, for instance, just use the app on your phone, but I mean, let's face it, a lot of us maybe still prefer to use the desktop version. You are more vulnerable, in my opinion, for some things like this if you keep leaving those things running in the background. And on top of that, there's other backdoor ways of accessing funds, if you will, with other plugins that may have some more vulnerabilities. Just a good rule of thumb: don't have like a bunch of plugins, whether it's like 3, 4, 5. Some people have 10 running in the background. For me, even if it seems like it's something that's trusted, I just simply, like, unless I'm just regularly using these things all the time, and even if I am, yes, it's an inconvenience, but I don't have any plugins other than the ad block thing that Mr. Edward Visden was showing me about a while back. That's probably like the only one I have really running. But as far as like all these other ones about like a discount for this site and that site, the way I look at it is, nope, not doing it. Yes, it's inconvenience to turn some things back on, but again, for me, the rule of thumb is if I'm going to a certain site and I need to use those discounts, why not just use those things during the time for the transactions and whatnot? Like, when you need to turn things on when they need to be on, turn things off when they need to be off. That's the bottom line. All right, gonna jump back into the comments. We have another I guess you could say mainstream news briefing to give to you guys, and then we'll kick it into some more of the typical things that we cover here at CTN that have, that's usually tagged. Thanks for being here. Please smash that like. Let's kick it back to the comments. All right. So I do see a few more people connected, and I do appreciate you guys being here. Kick it into the next one that we had that connected. 6:21 p.m. my time. Only about 8 minutes ago. Not too bad. Try to do the 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out, but didn't quite make it. That's okay. GT says, hey, everyone. Welcome back with the wonderful Predator avatar, Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Welcome back. Boom. All right. Jay Cryptic says, hello all. Welcome back, Jay. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just double check the other screen, make sure I didn't miss anything, and I didn't. So that's good stuff. Let's see here. We got Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk. Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Brian Dowie is in the house. Brian Dowie, glad to have you here, especially my friend. Always a pleasure. Glad to have you back. Well, we are now at 30 people. I thought I'd make an announcement. And of course, it's nothing bad. I'm just giving you guys a heads up for those who didn't know it. We don't have weekend shows anymore. It's official now. So, if you guys are used to weekend shows, the shows are strictly on the weekdays only. It will be basically me. It's Monday through Friday. Of course, Larry has the right to do shows, if he comes up with them and so on. But for the most part, that's the new format. It's not really a big new format, really, if you think about it. But anyway, it's just Monday through Friday with me. That's the way it's always been. And then typically speaking, it would be like Larry, for instance, or he was sub. This time around, for instance, if for any reason I can't make a show, there won't be a sub, basically. I will just make an announcement, and I will get in the habit of doing this. So I apologize for any other times this didn't happen. But what's going to happen is, if for any reason I can't make it, I will do my best to just simply go to Twitter, tweet out real quick, and say something like, hey, guys, today's show's been canceled. And that's that. So that's the format. The time slot's not changing. I will give you guys a heads up. Like, for instance, if it's a Friday show, typically speaking, like I always tweet something out, letting you guys know, hey, thumbnail, do your own research with Max, or, TGIF with Max. But on Fridays, if for any reason, like if I'm going to go somewhere and make plans, I will typically give you guys like a heads up, something like, hey, there won't be a show today, something like that. But typically speaking, it will be Monday through Friday unless otherwise specified. But it's always the same time slot that you used to. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. As you guys know, there's like a 15-minute window sometimes where we don't start right at 9 Eastern, might be, for instance, 9:15 Eastern, 6:15 Pacific, and so on. So just thought I'd make that announcement. Nothing major, nothing bad. So that's what's going on with that. As far as recorded videos, I'm trying to get back in the habit of doing that. Had a lot of real life circumstances, unfortunately, but you guys should start seeing some more of those things here in a bit as well. Thanks for being there. Please smash that like. I think we're doing pretty well on the likes. 29 likes, not bad. 34 people watching. Maybe we could take up to the 40s. We're going to get into the next segment here in a bit. I'm just going to welcome a few more people. All right, let's see. We got Crypto Smooth in the house. He says, what up, CTN fam? Glad to have you here, Crypto Smooth. Welcome back. You caught that, didn't you? Yes, you did. All right. Okay, let's see here. Yes, Brian, you missed it, man. The whole segment. Maybe you didn't miss it. I don't know. Maybe you saw it. Yes, basically that. It's a scam sniffer. Yes. Wow. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway. All right, Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk. Boom. I thought you were kidding, but yes, that's what I was talking about. I had kind of, go with. I knew you guys would catch that, so I'm glad you guys are. Hey, at least, how about this? At least you guys are paying attention. So yes, thank you very much for that. That's what counts the most. Yeah, there you go. Literally, that's what it's called. So I mean, it's nothing real bad, right? Selmo Fudd, welcome back. Glad I have you back, Mr. Selmo Fudd. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate you. All right, let's read a few more comments. And then on top of that, let's get to Cool Cat Crypto. He says to sell. I wonder what that's about. But welcome, Cool Cat Crypto. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll get into maybe a couple more. Wow. That's something else. Anyway, all right, let's go further down. Magic Powers in the house. He says, hello, guten Tag, Liechtenstein Exchange. Jasmy in the house. Thank you. Welcome back. All right, we're going to read just 2 more, and then we're going to get back into the outline. You killing me, Max. Need some Larry talk every now and again. Oh yeah, that's just what it says on the. I guess those programs are literally called that, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, All right. So JC the man is in the house. Welcome back, JC the man, Josh Cornwell the man. You can follow him on YouTube. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to read this comment from Fluffy Fluff and the Banana Hammocks. What a name! Hey Max, hey CTN family. Hope you're having a good start to your week. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate you. Welcome back. All right, we're going to use that as a bookmark. We're going to kick it into the other screen. Andrew Davis is also here. Saw a couple other guys. To answer the question on the bottom, so Larry has retired from the show. Not quite. It's just that his work activity has dramatically increased and so on. And he just wants to see, like, you know, I guess you could say the flow of the show go a certain way and whatnot. So it's not that he's like, you know, permanently retired, but I guess you could say for now. Yeah, in a way. All right. So we're going to kick it back to what we have. I mean, still part of the team and stuff like that, right? I mean, I joined his platform, technically speaking. This is still, you know, he's still part of the family. What do you want to call it, right? He's not going away. It's just, you know, he's got some other things going on. So, you know, one thing that he definitely addressed was he needs to get his internet fixed and so on. He basically has to go with a whole new provider. You know, that's the bottom line. His cable provider sucks. If you're getting a route like that on a tracer route where it's just all choppy, you got to go with somebody else. I mean, you don't pay for premium internet service and have it all basically like that, but it is what it is. All right. Please smash the like. We're up into the 40s. Let's kick it into the next thing of what we have for the lineup. All right. So the next one is a little bit more of this mainstream news. And it's in regards to this right here. Let's just pull it up. All right. So I'm going to go up to the top. And for instance, this was reported at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. So not that long ago. Former CFTC chairman, let me see if this shows up right for you guys. It does. Says crypto regulations can't wait until litigations concludes. We need standards today. Now, before, I think it was like last week or the week before that, we were mainly talking about like the institutional money and how the narratives is shifting. Well, you know, we even have, for instance, a certain member of Stellar who's part of the CFTC. Some cool stuff. But we're going to play this for you guys here in a bit. But here's some key points. And that is former chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Timothy Masad, proposed a new way to regulate crypto and protect investors without waiting years for lawsuits to basically conclude. Think about what that means right there. Is that a point towards Ripple, for instance? Could very well be. I was listening to Richard Common Sense Crypto. He addressed some of these key things. If you guys listen to his latest Ripple XRP video, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out to Rich. How about this one? We strongly support enforcement of the laws, but what we are saying is we need more than that. Now, you may be wondering, like, well, who cares? You know, who the heck is this guy? Well, here is this guy. Okay, Timothy Masad, chairperson of the CFTC. And as we know, this is like an oversight committee, supposedly of the SEC. See how that works, right? 66 years old. Here's his background. Basically, he is currently a research fellow at the Kennedy School of Government over at Harvard, right? And an adjunct professor of law at even Georgetown University. So obviously he has quite the background. His previous office was that he was the United States Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Financial Stability from 2011 to 2014. So I don't know. I mean, teach his own. I mean, you know, some people may not like the party he's part of, whatever, right? Let's jump back to this, okay? So we're going to play this. This is only about 2 minutes and 21 seconds. And if anything, it'll give you a heads up on what the heck is going on here recently. Smash that like. Thanks for being here. Here we go.
We strongly support enforcement of the laws. But what we're saying is we need more than that. And the reason is twofold. One is litigation takes a long time. And quite frankly, the crypto industry may find it's in their interest to stretch these cases out. because they may be hoping for a change in regulatory attitude with the 2024 election. The second reason is it won't resolve all the issues that we need to get resolved. So what we're saying is, let's do something as well, which is have the SEC and the CFTC get together and set some investor protection standards that are going to apply to these trading platforms as they exist today. So we're saying, don't litigate, well, or rather, don't get hung up on the question of, is a particular token a security or not? That can be litigated, as the SEC is doing, but we need investor protection standards today that apply. And frankly, the standards we need are largely the same, regardless of what bucket you put a token into. So the way this would work is the two agencies would get together. Ideally, they would create a self-regulatory organization that they would tightly supervise, and that would then come up with some basic standards on protection of customer assets, prevention of fraud and manipulation, prohibition of conflicts of interest, reporting requirements, record-keeping requirements. And those would apply to any platform that trades Bitcoin or Ethereum. That gets you the whole market, right? There's no platform that's relevant that isn't trading those two tokens, since they represent so much of the market.
Don't miss a second of.
Says, don't miss a second of Mad Money. I like how it just cut off the part where Jim Cramer is supposed to speak, because in reality, who wants to hear him speak? Anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. All right. Maybe you guys are maybe there's a couple of people who are a fan, but I do, I pay attention to what he says and just basically do the opposite. Maybe 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, right? All right. On top of that, let's get back into a couple more comments, but glad to show you guys just a little bit more about the whole mainstream stuff. So, there's, of course, a little bit about that, in which, this guy spoke about this and so on. I will throw this out here, for instance, on top of what we just shared. And that was where he emphasized, as a Mossad, that this regulatory group would be heavily supervised by both the SEC and the CFTC, and would not be comprised of, for instance, just industry leaders setting standards for themselves. He added that this solution would be a way to get some basic industry standards in place without having to rewrite securities laws. Now, I don't know if I'm not, like some of what is mentioned there, because as we know, some of these security laws basically do need to be written. They need to be completely redefined from scratch, do they not? So of course, you guys can look more into this if you want. There's a whole thing, written up about it and so on. And it's not just from CNBC. There's a lot of other outlets that are talking about it as we speak, if you just do a simple Google search. All right, back into the comments. We have a few of you guys connected. Andrew Davis, I did welcome you earlier, but he says, "What up, Max? Hey, everyone. Love the show. Max, I really look forward to seeing the show." Oh, well, thanks. Appreciate that. I'm glad that people do look forward to it. And I also look forward to being here with you guys. All right. So, no, it's not a demotion or anything like that. It's just he has become a lot more busier with his new job. And, on top of that, he just, I don't know, he was sharing some info with me, and he just kind of feels like, he saw some comments and stuff, and he's just like, what, combination of just being drop dead tired and not providing, I guess you could say, like, value. He just feels like for now that's what he wants to do. But the big thing is, it's kind of like, how's the saying goes, taking the wind out of your sails. Even for myself, if I was having internet problems, that's really, really distracting, and it ruins the flow. So hopefully in the future you can get that taken care of. He's not going away forever. He's still part of this, So you got to keep in mind, I joined this platform. So it's not like, I'm his boss or he's my boss or anything like that. It's not like that. So, all right. Yes, that's probably what's going on exactly, Brian. Yes. Thank you for that. Bidet indeed. All right. Let's go further down, and Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, boom. You just nobody wants to hear Kramer anyway. All right. Tim Shea says, great idea. Gensler must have had a fit. He wants to make it up as he goes along. April Cornwall's here. She said, hey, saw the picture on Twitter. Cool stuff. Let us know what kind of garden are you doing? Are you raising like zucchinis? Are you raising, tomato plants? I don't know. Well, I don't know. Can you guys do watermelon out of Oklahoma? Out here in Arizona, we do watermelon. I'll state this, right? So every state should be famous for one particular, fruit or vegetable. Idaho is obviously potatoes, right? So Arizona, believe it or not, it's watermelon. The best watermelons in the world come from Yuma, Arizona. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of it. I remember when I was living up in Oregon, where I was born and raised, right? It was always a pleasure to get imported Yuma watermelon. I mean, even if you're a person that's not good at, thumping nor knocking a watermelon, you're just consistently a lot better because, the climate and so on. So anyway, going to read a few more comments and got to kick it back to what we have. We have April Staten. Hope everyone's day was beautiful. You got some allergies going on. I had some allergies bother me earlier. My asthma is kind of bothering me again right now. It seems like I'm having a harder time breathing. I am, just being honest. All right. Steve Rose says, what is that? Darwinism is about to get real. Is that what you're trying to say? Huh, I don't know. That's okay. Welcome back, Steve Rose. What happened to your avatar, man? What happened to it? All right. Dingy's up in the house. What's up, all? Glad to have you back, Mr. Dingy. All right. I'll read a couple more. He says he's been trying to buy a house and sell his apartment. What a nightmare. Oh, boy, that would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare. All right. Toronto is that sticky icky. Real sticky icky. Ooh-wee. Put it in the air, right? All right. Okay. So let's kick it back to what we have. Enough about the mainstream news, right? Let's get into Bull Run Thesis, part 14. Okay, I think it's 14. I'm trying my best to remember. Smash that like if you enjoy the whole topic of, is there really something going on with things becoming bullish and so on? I think so. So we've been covering this topic for quite some time. When it's popular, when it's not popular, when people, they don't really tell me this, but I've seen some people politely tell me I'm full of crap, and that's okay. If you're a type of person, you're like, Max, you're full of crap, that's okay too. We welcome the other type of people who simply support us but don't, completely agree with everything I say, and that's all right. It's not about agreeing with everything I have to say, right? But nonetheless, please smash that like because we're going to get into this. So we have a weekly update. It is from an annual subscription I have. Not super long, but nonetheless, very well worth getting into. And here it basically is. So this was reported over, I think, a couple days ago. What is today? The 10th? This is the 8th. It was on Saturday. So I wasn't with you guys on Saturday, but still valid. I am going to blow this up a little bit more for you can see it just a little bit bigger. And basically speaking, like it says, weekly update, getting ready for a crypto shopping spree. Now, for me personally, when I see terms like this, I'm thinking, there's the opportunities of basically, like it says, backing up the truck. But in reality, that's not me telling you to back up the truck. It's basically recognizing, especially if you have a good portfolio management software or whatnot, or so the free one, CMC, and so on, to recognize like what's on sale of what you normally are paying close attention to. So, for me, it's like maybe a little combination of a few things. Polygon, some of you guys pay attention to, for instance, I don't know, a lot of different projects, right? It's just whatever you have your eye on, basically, is the bottom line. All right, so here we go. The crypto markets stayed relatively strong this last week, with most of the major cryptos trading slightly higher. Of course, this comes from Luke Lango and Charlie Shrem. If you're wondering about Charlie Shrem, again, I think the first GPU miner on camera, at least on a major show, to display that with BTC. He's been into BTC since $5, part of the Bitcoin Foundation. So the crypto markets stayed relatively strong last week, with most of the major cryptos trading slightly higher, and some altcoins like Solana, for instance, even Filecoin. You guys know how heavily I am into Filecoin. Never got into Flow, but we did some research on that. Good project, right? Popping more than 10% on the week as far as the average, right? Some of them give or take a little bit higher than some others. We have re-strengthened, and I have as well, about the whole topic of the fourth crypto boom cycle. So if you're brand new to the show, you don't understand some of this terminology, it's okay. Put that aside. Let's talk about some good news here, okay? So yes, basically bull run / boom cycle thesis part 14. And as a result, like them over at Investor Place, they are preparing to go on a crypto shopping spree very soon. I'm saying that you guys have to do this. Again, still recognize what is in your portfolio, why you're, focus on a few things that you still need in the stack. If you also have a watch list, a proper watch list of things that you have not accumulated yet, and you notice even with a surge in the market, there might be a few that you have not obtained yet. Hey, I'm with you. Like I mentioned, there's about 5 that I still haven't gotten yet, but I'm looking at some certain prices. Shout out to Cool Cat Crypto, Ordinals. That's definitely one of the 5. And there's some few others that are part of that list, such as Caspa. And of course, once I obtain some of these, you will start seeing those tagged routinely throughout the week on our program. All right. We have previously discussed the various reasons this looks and feels a lot like the start of a new boom cycle for cryptos. We've gone into this at least a week ago, I believe. Maybe it was last Monday. This also includes the depth and length of the previous bear market crash. We've given you guys all sorts of, research and so on. But the price action on the breakout, the price of BTC relative to key on-chain metrics, the halving event in early 2024, and there's a whole bunch of other slew of things that are going on. I'll just state this, right? When we get more into this, the next big goal for BTC is obviously 35K, and we're going to talk about that. All the dots have been connected. We covered quite a few things about connecting the dots, right? Especially when it comes to altcoins. And this manner suggests that this is the start of a multi-year bull run in cryptos. A lot of people want to see this, right? And, it's not just, 4-year cycles. It's basically, we all want that utility run because we understand that it's like the concept of bull runs will be over. This fuels the debate of, things can't be volatile, especially with institutional money coming in. And if anything, let's just start things off the right way this week. We're starting to see heavy mention, even from that guy from the CFTC, talking about regulations need to happen and we cannot wait 1 or 2 years. That's why I highlighted that to start things off for this outline. All right. In late May, a major risk emerged to the boom cycle thesis. Bottom line is Gary Gensler and the SEC brought everything down. And of course, as the saying goes, shook a lot of people out of the market. Did not. Some people that maybe you used to see watching our show a lot, don't see them, right? Could that be a few of the factors? Could very well be. People do get scared. People don't finish this race. You better believe it's a race. It's a marathon. I want to see us all basically finish this race. But liquidity got crushed and crypto suffered. It did. All right. In their opinion, as in Investor Place, and I share part of this opinion, not 100% on everything, this risk has been fully resolved and the boom cycle is back on. And we give you guys, for instance, actual data, not just base things on popular opinion, because let's face it, a lot of times when people want to chat about this stuff, they don't want to go on a limb because they don't want to be that guy people point fingers at. And it is what it is. The wave of spot Bitcoin ETF filings over the past few weeks all but ensures that we will see a huge increase in crypto market liquidity over the next 12 plus months. We view it as it's basically inevitable that, for instance, the following: number one, if not multiple of these ETF filings will be approved. Number 2, when approved, an Bitcoin ETF will dramatically increase the amount of money flowing into the crypto industry. This is why for the longest time, we put so much focus on what are some of the big institutional players doing. You get where I'm going with this. BlackRock, Fidelity, so on and so forth. And of course, that's gotten its rightful coverage. But consider this. It is storied history. Like I mentioned, we just talked about BlackRock. They have filed for 550 funds. Yes, 550. All but one of them have been approved. That's a 99.8% success rate. And oh, by the way, the one that wasn't approved was when? Back in 2014, I believe. So are we throwing a big fuss over that? Not really. We like those odds. I like those odds. I mean, let's face it, 99.8% is an amazing success rate. When it starts trading, a ton of money will flow into it, and by extension, the whole crypto industry. I mean, technically speaking, you could say that this is a form of FOMO, is it not? Or aping in. So basically means the same thing. Therefore, we believe that the liquidity headwind that nearly compromised the fourth crypto boom cycle has now, and let me highlight this, become a liquidity tailwind that will accelerate this boom cycle. Now, of course, we have to see how things go. And I will also state this. Anything could happen in this type of industry. We could see something crazy happen, like some doom and gloom or outside metrics that we were not expecting. This is why we all pay attention to macro and microeconomic things that can happen, wars, you name it, right? It's crazy stuff can happen. All right, so they're preparing to go on a crypto shopping spree basically sometime this month. Maybe you guys are going to do it as well. It just all depends on the price levels of certain assets. But the time feels right to start taking more shots on the goal. Now, let's get into some of these key things here. It says BTC over the past few weeks has basically consolidated its 2023 highs. That looks like it's basically to fill a major air gap up to the 35K mark. Shout out to Legrand Commission. He was mentioning some of the 35K marks, and he was mentioning even higher than that. I believe he put at 70K. Long term, way higher than that. So we even have people who watch our show for the longest time, over a year, like him and so on, point some of these things out. Here is a actual visual representation, and we've showed you guys this before. But like it says, BTC now appears ready to fill a major air gap to levels above the 35K mark. Remember what I mentioned also before, that I felt as though we get a Fed pause, it should be blast off. And again, I'm going to reiterate that just because I say that doesn't mean it's everything going parabolic in one day. Has never worked out that way. But the fundamental and technical outlook for the crypto markets has become increasingly bullish. Bottom line is, it's, in my opinion, it's time to buy on certain things. They're saying it's time to buy, like, I guess you could say, period. I don't quite agree with everything of what's said there. It depends on what it is. That's why you have a watch list. That's why you pay attention to previous all-time highs of the project, especially if it's a project that's been around for a very, very long time. I would say at least a year or more definitely helps. Projects that are part of the top 100 have basically, stood out the test of time. You guys want me to talk more about Bone? I'll give credit to Bone. Bone broke into the top 100. And let's face it, guys, about a month ago, that was 60 some odd cents. So it's already done 2x in a month. Very cool stuff. All right. It says, let's dive into the weekly updates. For instance, some of you guys hold Cosmos. I missed the boat on some of those prices because I was looking at other assets, but nonetheless, let's talk about Cosmos just for a brief bit. Here's a little update because it talks about Japanese stable coins, which are coming to Cosmos. And even in regards to all our coverage that we do about Jasmy, this is big, right? Because you understand where the government is going. So the Noble Asset Issuance Platform has partnered with Toki, and that is a bridging provider for Cosmos and EVM-based blockchains. We cover a lot of different things when it comes to EVM-based blockchains. This partnership expands the Cosmos ecosystem market to include more of the Japanese market and should make it easier to onboard Japanese companies. If you've been following some of my deep dives, I was talking about this stuff long before Investor Place was even mentioning it right now. Yes, you definitely know what I'm talking about. All right, I hold the graph. I will talk about this some of you guys hold the graph, and I am going to mention this real quick because some of you guys complain about some of the updates about the graph. How do I know that? You guys DM me about it. You know, stop talking about the graph. It's boring. It's not boring. More people just need to know about it. One of my top performing cryptos. No, it's not TAG, but you know what? We'll give it an honorable mention. So usage of the graph. If you understand the graph, I call it basically the Google crypto indexing tool is this main utility. And basically it continues to rise, pushing the protocol past 1 billion total queries. This was the whole concept of its indexing protocol, if you will, right? Its main utility layer. The network saw its daily activity roughly double, listen to this, guys, in the last month as well, increasing from 20 to 30 million to 40 to 60 million daily queries. That is big. All right. We were talking obviously about Stellar. We have some news for you guys in regards to Stellar. This also gets honorable mention because Investor Place has always been incredibly bullish on Stellar, which I'm very happy about. But Wisdom Tree, all right. Some of you guys follow some of the stuff about Stellar and you know what projects are built on Stellar and so on. And after this, we'll kick it back into the comments. But they have a new app. It is powered by Stellar. Stellar's blockchain will enable app users, listen to this, guys, to trade gold. Didn't see that one coming, did we? Yeah, right. Bitcoin and other assets quickly and efficiently. Initially, the Bitcoin purchased via the app won't be transferable to an external wallet. In other news, a member of the Stellar Foundation, we know about this, right? We talked about last week, right? Part of the new CFTC advisory panel group and so on. So very, very cool stuff to see this going on. Thought I'd share it with you guys. And then after this, we're going to start things off with some of the coins and tokens we normally cover. Have a few brief updates, for instance, from Tokenizer, Quant Pop in regards to Quant. After that, we're going to get into some Jasmy, some Ripples XRP especially, and also some Stellar. So smash that like. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show so far. And if you see anybody that's new, please give them that warm welcome. Really do appreciate it. Thank you guys. All right, let's get back into the comments right now. So quite a few more comments came in, and I'm glad for that. We have, for instance, and let me just double check the other screen. I think we're doing good. Let's give a shout out to Selmo Fudd. He has been a member, official member, as far as like supporting the channel and so on. It says for the last 4 months, and today's, I guess, his anniversary. So thanks, Selmo. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the ongoing support, my friend. That is awesome. All right. Glad I got to view that on the other screen. So good timing, right? All right. So let's see where we're at. And I think I'm further down. I forgot to maybe put a bookmark in, but that's okay. I want to welcome Crypto Oracle. He says, "Sup, guys? Google has linked the term Sony blockchain to Jasmy in the search engine." You know what? I appreciate that info. Let me go ahead and look that up myself. So let's see here. Let's do Sony blockchain. All right, let's see if this works. And in fact, I will share this as I'm doing it. All right, so let me pull this up. Sony blockchain. All right, and I'll just go ahead and share this. All right, so Sony blockchain. And let's see. I'm not seeing anything like this. Maybe it's working different for me than it is for you. Well, maybe I should have just picked one to look up. Well, I'm not really seeing anything like that, but that's okay. Doesn't immediately come up. Maybe I should do one for 2023. How about this? Just do bitcoin.com or something. Not really see anything, but I do appreciate it. Maybe I do it without the quotes. Let's see. Fortune magazine. We're gonna have to get something a little more specific. I'm not consistently seeing it, but I like the news. That's cool, but you know, I do like to verify some things. Not downplaying what you're saying, but I'm not seeing anything like that. Because I mean, if anything, if I do a search should probably come up like at least with something about that. But the idea sounds good. All right. All right, let's go further down into the comments. We also got Fit in Crypto. He says, boom, welcome, welcome. Fit in Crypto. Boomer's right on top of it. Thank you for that, Boomer. Awesome. All right. Forget Ordi, get Cosmos. Well, I mean, you know, I like both basically. But where I'm beating myself up about Cosmos is that I could have got it for like roughly, I think 8.5, 9. And I should have done that. I didn't do that. But in regards to investor plays, they have things on their portfolio notes. That's worth pointing out. Let me see what they have as far as that goes real quick. Because a lot of times we feel as though, you know, we always want to buy the bottom. Who doesn't want to buy the bottom, right? But at the same time, you know, there's limits to certain price levels that you can still, you know, acquire some of these assets before you pay too much for it. So let's see what they got. So they originally bought Atom at $23.48. On their notes, they feel very strong about Atom. They're of course down on it, right, at a loss, but again, they still feel strongly about it. So the recent price is $9.41. Oh shoot, man, maybe I finally get into this. I mean, this is part of the 5 that I've been wanting to get in. And then they advise to not pay more than 15 because they have a section that says buy below. So I mean, it's still below that. Interesting. Well, I have to double check that. Okay, that's cool. So I'll leave that up there. And let's get back into the comments a little bit more. You're enjoying the day. That's good. All right, let's see here. I'm going to go further down. We got Blockchain 663. I'm still here. Welcome, welcome. Let me see what you got. Cool pick. Well, you need to get with Mr. Fit in Crypto because you guys are both fit, and that's good stuff. So welcome. Glad to have you here, Blockchain 663. Guys, give Blockchain 663 the warm CTN welcome if you haven't done so already. We'll read a couple more comments, and then from here, we're going to get back into our outline. Yep, I agree with that. I just don't hold it yet. More content on Casper, Mr. Max. Yeah, I'll try to do that. I mean, it seems like a lot of you guys are into that. I mean, why not? Don't sleep on Cosmos. Yeah. All right. They want to know Triple C's Cosmos prediction. All right. Dingy says, are you guys investing? What are you willing to lose or going? You only live YOLO. You only live once. Yeah, that's right. Really? Wow. That is really bold. Jeez. Has a low supply would be easy. All right. Let's double check that supply real quick. Why not? Right. We're on the topic of Cosmos. You know, let's look into it a little bit more. Actually, I'll just pull up this other page real quick. All right, let's pull this up. I believe I have it on my list. Yeah, it's on my favorites. All right, so here's what's going on with Cosmos. And it is under 10. That is quite the buy. Let me scroll over a little bit. Circulating supply is 346,608,690. Market cap 3,197. 3,197 million. All right, currently ranked in the top 25. Let's click on this for just a brief moment. All right. This is all confirmed. It's not unverified, right? And we can check out the all-times. All-time highs is way up there. I know that much. Well, I guess not. I thought it would be higher than that. All right. So previous bull market, 10/21/2021. Let's face it, a few weeks before BTC went to its all-time highs of 69K. Cosmos, aka Atom, was as high as $38.14, I believe, is what it said. 35 bucks. Obviously, some things can happen in that regard. All right, so that's what's going on with that. Let's go down to the total supply. They don't have a max supply. They don't have a total supply. Huh. Maybe they do. It's just not CMC. So if you know a little bit more about that, Mr. Cool Cat, let us know. But as far as all time, it is up 44% all time compared to other projects, let's face it, that are at a big loss. So that's good. Worth noting. All right. Well, you know what? Let's go to Twitter real quick. See if there's any particular updates. All right. So at Twitter, this thing has obviously a lot of followers, 517,000. 15 hours ago, they talked about Adam Berlin. I don't know what that is, but I could always research it more. But let me see if there's any specific things. All right. On July 9th, which was yesterday, the TFM.com, which is the pro trading terminal Cosmos, it's a proprietary, that team moved forward to interchain composability, what a name, with the introduction of IBC Swap. IBC Swap combines cross-chain swaps and transfers into a single interface. Who was talking about this last week, guys? Right? I already know the answer, but shout out to him. You know who was talking about this last week? Badir, aka Crypto Winner, aka Hump Not Dump, was he not? He was talking about this last week. Boom, there you go. So that's what's up with that. That's pretty cool. Simplifying cross-chain swaps, improves user flow, prepares for the interchain. Hey, remember how he was also talking about some of that staking? Very nice yields on it and so on. Not too bad. So a lot of talk about this, obviously. Cosmos Hub, I think he was talking about that as well with Osmosis. I don't know about Stargaze. Shout out to Stargazer who watches their show. So there's a little bit in regards to that builders program. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I've done kind of a deep dive in the past on Cosmos and so on, and especially we had some big news a while back. I even did a 2-part video about QNT and Cosmos. So, like it says, the internet of blockchains, open, scalable, interconnected economy of the future, interchain. But yeah, this is one that, Investor Place. Of course, I showed you guys some of the footage about the bull run thesis, part 13, if you will. They are very, very strong. I feel very, very strong on Cosmos, as well as a few other ones like the Graph. They're big on Near, Theta, a few other ones, and so on. Obviously, Stellar. But that's cool stuff. Glad to share it with you guys, and that's good that you really like that one. All right, let me read a few more comments. Mr. Lambo says, "When do you think Chainlink will be able to keep up?" When I mentioned my top 5 of ones I don't have, in reality, I probably should extend to like maybe 7 or just call it 10. Chainlink is part of that, believe it or not, because every single time I turn around and look more into Chainlink, Swift is consistently mentioned. And if you think about like over the last year, how many times have we talked about Swift and talking about, for instance, obviously ISO 222. So my thing is, I have a very well diversified portfolio, just as much as the next guy here. But yet I don't have Chainlink. But it's just, I don't know. Where's the end with that? You know what I mean? It's just, my thing is I just want to continue to stack what I have. But I do always recognize the opportunities. I don't want to be the guy that misses out. I mean, hence why some people do FOMO into things or ape into things. But Mr. Lambos, do you hold Chainlink? Anyway. All right. You think Cosmos would be involved in everything? I will agree with you on that. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's crazy. $1,200. I don't mean crazy like it's not going to happen, because as you guys know, I mean, there's a lot of things that could basically happen in this whole crypto thing. Let me turn on this fan real quick. All right, Stargazer. Speaking of which, I think I give you a shout out. So shout out to you, Stargazer. All right, let's read a couple more comments. Cool Cat says the staking rewards will be sick when it goes to a higher price. Dave D is also in the house, the other Dave. And let's also welcome, we already welcome you, but we'll welcome you again. Stargazer, hi Max, hope all is going well. Thanks, man. It's been very extremely stressful, trying times lately. But, who doesn't have problems, at the end of the day. All right. Thank you, though. Jonathan Fernandez. Really? Is that you? Oh, I'm thinking of Jose Fernandez. I was like, this is the name. I was like, one of my students from last calendar year is here. I was going to say I missed that kid. He's a good kid. All right, Jonathan, you're a different one. My bad. Jonathan Fernandez. He said he just bought 100,000 Jasmy. Oh, congratulations, man. Right on. Shout out to all the Jasmy holders out there. All right. Don't listen to the fudders. They just take what's on the surface. And like I mentioned, they're not about community. You got to keep in mind, some of these guys are just about shorting things, you know what I mean? So they don't give a crap about any type of community research or any of that stuff. But welcome. Glad to have you here. All right. 2 or 3 more comments, and then we'll get back into our outline. Dingy, if any follows XRP bags, the dude said to be rich, you have to have 200,000 XRP. That sounds like something that BitBoy Crypto would also say, you know? Oh, if you want to be rich off of Cardano, you have to have like 100,000, you know, Cardano tokens. It's just like, I mean, technically speak, how about this, all right? You guys know some of my prices or some of the what I have for Jasmy. I could get back into it. But, I mean, technically speaking, if I went up to the next mark of 2 million, then I have to say, all right, I got to wait for Jasmy to go to 50 cents. Well, how about this? All right, then let's just go for 3 million Jasmy. Jasmy goes to 25 cents. All right, let's go to 4 Jasmy because now I have to just wait for Jasmy to go 12.5 cents. All right, let's go to, 5 million Jasmy. You get where I'm going? I mean, yes, that could be applied to anything if you want to put a crazy amount into it and so on. Do I end up doing that in the future? I don't know. That sounds kind of tempting now that I think about it, because, I mean, if you guys remember, we were on that path to a penny for Jasmy until freaking CZ and Binance put Jasmy in the Innovation Hub. It is what it is. But I think we're going to be more than fine. All right. We got Boomer F. Sooner says Google Sony blockchain on your phone. It's at the top. Oh, really? So I had to do it with my phone. Well, then I believe you. If we got 2 people, more than one person verifying this, that's awesome stuff. Glad to hear that. There's an old saying, especially with gamers, Google it, noob. Well, I guess I'm the noob that didn't Google it right. I don't know. Maybe because I'm using the web-based version. But I'm glad it comes up on the phone because in reality, most people probably do more searches with their phone anyway. So shout out to Mr. Boomer F. Sooner for his verification. That's the way I look at it, man. Yes, absolutely. But for me, my new goal is I got to have a separate $1 million bag for $5+ in the future. And I'll be glad to do so because I will be taking profits at $1 and I don't want to cash out my whole bag. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying for you guys to do that. Everybody has to do their own thing. Not financial advice, but that's just the way I'm going about it. All right. Cash Cats is in the house. Always glad to see Mr. Cash Cats in the house with the wonderful Ron Paul avatar. Thank you. And let's just read, like I always say a couple more, but this is a good one. You'll be fine if it hits 50 cents. That's true. That is very true. Mr. B Ricky is back. Welcome back, Mr. B Ricky, who's in the house. And we'll use that as a bookmark. All right, let's kick it into the other thing of what we have. We talked obviously quite a bit about Bull Run Thesis 13. Talked about some Cosmos, which is good, which was not even part of the lineup, but you know what? Deserved an honorable mention, did it not? All right, so let's get into some of, what I refer to as the GOAT of research is Tokenizer. And let me mute the fan on this one because it might get recorded for later. All right, so let's jump into this for a brief moment. And if anything, we were talking about some of the key highlights about regulatory framework and, what's going on with some of this stuff. Like you see the new narrative shift, right? Well, for this outline, you're going to consistently hear the topic of CBDCs, whether you're for them or not. Listen to what Tokenizer has to mention here. And he does a great job with the only way he can do it to get it out there. All right, CBDCs are inevitable. Yes, absolutely. It's a matter of when, not if. It's kind of like what I tell some of my relatives, even my dad, and so on. For me, that generational wealth is not a matter of if, it's when. But what about CBDCs? says you got two options. And this is true. That's why I'm sharing it with you guys. Very well said. You can either complain and express your hatred of CBDCs to the world, resulting in nothing, or you can research and take part in the tech shift to benefit from it. Elites are already in control, and it's the same thing that we've always said in the past, and that is if you can't beat them, join them. You already see what's going on in the world lately, do we not? With this whole narrative of how things are shifting, especially with the institutional money. Even Larry Fink years ago was quoted about saying that he would never get into some of this stuff. And now you see it happening left and right, especially when it comes to a Bitcoin ETF. So yes, the elites are already in control. You already see what's tagged here. Everything we basically cover here at CTN is tagged right there. All right. Now, it wouldn't be a proper deep dive or, news coverage if we didn't get into some of the nitty gritty. So over the last many weeks and months and so on, I've done deep dive. I brought you guys some info when it comes to MasterCard. So Q&T MasterCard, Overledger, the network of networks, okay? 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And if anything, this is a new one from the one and only Quant Papa, aka I love it when they call me Quant Papa. But also, look what's referenced here, all the way dating back to the 28th of April, 2018, about how Quant posted about their continued collaboration with just that, MasterCard. We also know Gilbert Verdian worked for MasterCard many years ago as part of his extensive resume. So let's go ahead and play this. It's kind of a fun little video, to be honest. And shout out to Quant Papa. Hopefully he's watching tonight. If he's not, with the time difference, that's cool. But, glad to see that he got unbanned from crypto Twitter. Smash that like. Here we go.
TCH was the first one, so I worked on that project through VocalLink in my previous role. That's to connect 14,000 banks to the TCH system.
Trade efficiently across the world on the network of networks. MasterCard. Trade efficiently across the world on the network of networks. 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 How can smart technology help both big and small businesses expand globally? With an interoperable solution that's connected, paperless, and works seamlessly with your own.
This MasterCard's technology use this innovative escrow technology that we built to create new types of payments and new types of flows.
Customs and traders around the globe can work together to process and share information digitally from multiple sources. Create straight-through processing, leading to seamless payments, which helps to provide end-to-end visibility, the where, when, and what's needed from start to end. This reduces operational costs and the risk of fraud, enabling better financial access.
We've created a network of networks that's fit for a hyper-connected world.
These are just some of the ways smart technology can help businesses trade efficiently across the world. On the network of networks. MasterCard.
All right, come on. You got to like how you put that together. That was fun, interactive. Shout out to Quant Papa for providing that. We're obviously going to get into a little bit more about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back to what we have, and I'm going to show you guys the original reference in regards to this. Here it is. Let's just pull this up. And this is dating back, again, all the way back on this article, actually on crypto Twitter, April 28th, 2018. But technically speaking, I guess you could say even before that. So Look at the old Quant logo, for crying out loud, right? I mean, this is really, really old school. Reading about their continued collaboration with, of course, MasterCard. Let me just add that back into this. Sorry about that. I got to share that. Here we go. And this is like an old Cointelegraph article. You know, we show quite a bit from Cointelegraph, but yeah, here it is. MasterCard cybersecurity executive leaves role for blockchain startup Quant Network. And who could it be? Well, obviously Gilbert Verdian, because he was with them for the longest time. But yeah, if I would show you guys that, I'm gonna come back in the frame for just a brief moment. I'm not gonna get into all the stuff about it and so on. But, you know, I'll read this quote real quick. You know, I'm looking forward to continuing the collaboration basically on MasterCard's blockchain strategy while basically focusing on developing our blockchain operating system, Overledger. We envision Overledger becoming a partner for enterprises by helping them overcome the biggest challenges they face when trying to adopt blockchain tech, including the lack of interoperability and single ledger dependence. Did we not just see Overledger go public here recently? And was so impressive to see some of these things finally being verified. Bank of England, Bank of International Settlements, Project Rosalind. I mean, just to name a few. All right, I'm going to kick it back into the next part of what we have. And that is basically a couple things, actually. So let's jump into it. So this is good stuff. There was a wallet that bought 157,000, listen to this, guys, QNT in the past 7 days. Now, why would that be? You know, talk about whales, right? Look at that. You can verify it for yourself. Let me blow this up. Actually, that's already blown up. My bad. If you want to nerd it out, right? But let's jump back to what we have to show you here. And this is one of the main highlights I want to show you guys. It talks about HSBC, who processes $600 trillion in payments a year, talking about how they are fully involved, just like I was mentioning earlier when we were talking about CBDCs, and how they are creating custody software for digital assets. To connect 3 banking apps to blockchain, they need what? Yes, Quant's Overledger. HSBC has already integrated Overledger. I'll show you one of the quotes here. And for instance, you can see it basically written right here. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys this brief interview and then we'll kick it back into the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Here we go. It might be a little hard to hear this from the lady that's interviewing, but for him, the guy on the right, you can kind of hear him. But it is, unfortunately, it is kind of hard to hear it. But, you know, you can choose to listen to it, or if you got other things going on, totally understand. We're going to go ahead and play this. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Smash that like. Here we go.
Okay, and what's your stance on central bank digital currencies?
Very much in favor of it. We're developing central bank digital currency. With Enbridge in Hong Kong, there's a small group of countries that are developing that as a real-life solution. We're fully in on central bank digital currency. We're one of the biggest global payments houses in the world. Last year, we processed over 600 trillion of payments on behalf of our clients. Central bank digital currency is a natural thing for HSBC to do, and it's in a regulatory environment governed by the central banks that are participating in it. So we're fully investing in that.
And does HSBC has any plans to develop your own custody solution for digital assets like many other banks do?
Yeah, we are developing our own custody solution for digital assets. We're going again into that sensibly, cautiously, but we are looking at that as a solution.
And can you share as well some global vision for HSBC now and in this total environment?
Yeah, listen.
All other banks getting bankrupt and
yeah. Well, we're very fortunate, and I'm very fortunate as CEO that we have a very strongly capitalized balance sheet, very strong capital ratios, very, very strong liquidity. So of my $1.6 trillion of customer deposits, I hold at least 800 billion of that in high quality liquid assets. So we're super liquid. And we're cautious, very cautious on our investment profile of how we use that liquidity. Now, one of our strengths is, as you say, a global bank. In a world that's becoming increasingly complex, my job and the job of my colleagues is to help clients navigate an increasingly complex global environment. That's our job. We've been doing it for years. We're the biggest trade bank in the world. We help clients find suppliers, finance suppliers, wherever they want to buy their supplies from in the world. That's what we do, help companies navigate a complex world.
All right, I know that's kind of hard to hear on that one, but think about what he mentioned, right? The world's largest trade, what was it, 600 billion or something like that? It's just crazy amounts. And then on top of that, it's just like to see some of the references with Quant and so on using Overledger and whatnot is pretty big stuff. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to close out a few things just to kind of help with the flow. We talked about the 157,000 that's now on chain. That was purchased. Very cool stuff. All right, so I'm going to kick it back in the comments. The next segment we're going to get into is Jasmy. Please smash that like for some Jasmy. And let's see what we got in the comments. All right, let me double check the other screen real quick, see how we're doing. I think we're doing all right. I believe we were doing all right. Let's see. Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, so we got Digi says it has no supply. Could be added if they wanted 10 billion tokens. Okay. Cool Cat says Cosmos, because you guys still on subject of Cosmos. That's fine, because if anything, I'm behind on the comments about 20 minutes. Not too bad. Better than an hour, right? Cosmos is different. Tokens are added and burned as well. Supply fluctuates, goes up and down. Yes, Hump taught me all about this. Huh, okay. Cool Cat Crypto says, I've been looked at a lot into Cosmos lately. It might be the best damn project there is. Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, like Investor Place, I cover all the time. Again, it's just it's probably like one of 5 that they have this little section that says, what they feel strong on. And Cosmos is definitely one of those ones that's up there. They feel strong on Cosmos. They actually feel strong on HMT. Stellar. There's a few others like Near, Theta, Tezos. There's a few other ones. Obviously, Audio. And of course, I hold some of those as well. I am more than happy about getting into Graph and Audio. I bought the bottom on those. So, all right. 10K XRP is more than enough. Don't go nuts with XRP and miss out on better projects. You feel like Atom's better than XRP? Wow. That's pretty bold. Okay. All right. Darian Gethers, welcome. What's up, fam? Well, glad to have you in the comments. I don't know if I've ever seen, type anything out, but let's welcome Darian and appreciate being here. Let's check out your avatar. Looking very, very sharp. Nice tie and so on. Hope to see more of you, man. Welcome. Glad to have any newcomers, or maybe you've been listening to the show for a while and so on, just felt like finally commenting. That's really cool. Very cool stuff. All right. Let's see here. He says, what year do you think XRP will hit 10K, 5K, 1K? Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to go with probably 2025, maybe late in the 2025. My main thing is I want to see ISO 222 get fully implemented. And from what we've seen, unless something changes, ISO 222 won't be fully implemented here, especially in the United States, until I believe it's November of 2025. So I want to see that happen. It might, actually, I might go to like 2026 because, as we know, it's about the utility being used. So I can't expect, crazy price action to happen like necessarily in a month. It could. But my thing is, they already have all these great partnerships. They already have the utility built. We just need to see, obviously, like the central banks of the world and so on using it. What's also very encouraging is when you hear talks about taking on some of that debt. I don't know if you're also into Stellar, but Axios, like I was pointing out to everybody, is something we should all pay attention to. Literally mentions taking on the U.S. debt and getting paid a yield. I mean, that's bullish in my opinion. I know we're on the topic of XRP. I don't know exactly when it'll be like 10K and so on, but as far as 1K or higher, I feel as though like those are the particular years that some of this stuff can happen. Obviously, everybody's paying attention to when actual regulatory framework goes, not just for certain areas like, the European Union or Japan, when it goes worldwide, right? And when that happens, that's going to be big, obviously, for Ripple's XRP, especially if you've done more research on ODL and so on. So to me, ODL, on-demand liquidity is the key for making all this stuff happen and bringing in massive amounts towards, let's face it, the overall crypto market and so on, institutional players and so on. But yeah, I'm going to go with, I think some big things going to happen by the end of 2025. I don't know the exact month. I'm not a fortune teller, but that's just the way I look at it. All right. Glad you guys being interactive with some of the other people. You think 100? Okay. All right. Yeah, another thing I was going to mention is, it depends on how the case goes. I mean, a Ripple victory would be massive in itself. I feel as though like, we should see like $10 in XRP at least. That's just the way I believe. I'm not the only one that believes that though. All right. Blockchain 663 had no idea he used to be with MasterCard. Yeah, absolutely. It is pretty big. All right, let's go further down. Let's also welcome John Geese. He says, hey guys, welcome. Glad to have you. And what else we got? Yeah, that's what I saw earlier, 44, 45, something like that. Something like that in that range. Maybe, in reality, it might have just like briefly touched 45, we base things. We see the charts and so on, but sometimes like, you never know, it could have been like for 15 minutes or something like that, right? Cosmos is the airport while XRP is only the plane. Okay. All right. Let me go further down. You believe all blockchains will use Cosmos? Yeah, I'm on board with that. Jonathan Fernandez, what do you think of Luna Classic? Sucks short term. I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't appear like it's great short term. Long term, I still believe that something big can happen with it, especially when it comes to, this next, we call it bull market that we're going into and so on. I think long term, we should be all right. I'm not a fortune teller. My thing, I've always stated this from the beginning, and that is just like anything, if we are talking about Cosmos, obviously, any good, solid blockchain out there has a robust ecosystem. If Luna Classic could even just get, I would say something like 15 to 20% of that original ecosystem or projects coming back into it and building on it and so on. There's so much talk about, for instance, the focus on burns. And it's just like another complaint, like with Shiba Inu. It's like some of these burns, like it might take over 100 years to see anything. Are we going to be around 100 years? No. But the point is that Luna Classic, if they can even get any hint of having any key players come back into the ecosystem, I think that you're going to see that eventually happen. For a lot of people, they're not going to want to wait for that. For me, if you want to talk about a buy and hold, that is one. But there's also that debate of there's going to be people who are going to look at like, well, there's other better opportunities is what they're going to say. Some people don't like me saying this, but that's just the way I look at it. For me, I still think I have over, like 15.5 million Luna Classic. I got like 4,500 bucks into it. I'm down, I'm probably about 60% down on it. I don't like that, but it's a long-term hold for me. No, I don't look at Luna Classic like I look at Cardano and some of the stuff like, I just hold it for many years and it's boring. I don't look at Luna Classic being boring, but there was a time, as we all know, that we were all really super excited about it, which was roughly like around this time last year. We did see it go to, was it 0.30s? God, what did we see it at, guys? Like a lot of us were in some big profits on it. And then, of course, it went the other way. I don't know. I'm not looking to add more to my position because I'm more than happy with what I have. But the way I look at it is, it's like this, right? I'm not going to be married to most of my crypto. That's just a given. And there's going to be ones I take profits off of. I truly believe that if people were excited about, 3 to 4 trillion overall crypto market from the last 2021 bull market, that we're going to smash that completely by a minimum of at least 5 trillion market cap for the overall crypto market cap. But if we're talking about the likes of BlackRock, Fidelity, and so on, that in itself will bring in a tremendous amount to the overall crypto market. And there are simply projects, for instance, I guess you could say like Luna Classic and so on, that you could say kind of could piggyback on it. But again, I want to put emphasis that Luna Classic, by this time, all this stuff hits new all-time highs. It's not just going to be a piggybacking on the rest of the market. I do believe that they will have some solid projects being built upon this Phoenix rising from the ashes type of ecosystem and so on. And you need that to happen. For it don't matter what blockchain it is and so on. That's just a given. You can't just have one project that does well. You do need to have a thriving ecosystem. I think they eventually get to that, but that's the complaint. As we know, a lot of people just don't want to wait for it. Some people have even sold for a loss. I'm the type of guy, I don't do that. I don't sell for losses. I don't swap for a loss to go to another asset because currently speaking, that asset's doing well. I've seen people get completely destroyed on it, but I don't know. Luna Classic, I think it's going to be more than fine if you're willing to go the long term. Anyway, glad to have you here. You don't think it's going to do anything as a project? Okay. I know some of you guys aren't fans of it. You throw it away, gave up on it, and so on. But that's just the way I look at it personally. I feel as though that I know that we all want to get to some new milestones about it and so on, like a penny or more and so on. I'll just state this, right, guys? I know that we're going to like a 4th boom cycle. That's just the way I believe. But if projects from 2021 or even in the bear market could blast off for almost no particular reasons and so on, then I would imagine that you could see some things, significant things happen even for Luna Classic. But I get it. A lot of people have either sold their position for a loss or swapped it, what you want to call it, and so on for other assets. And people are going to continue to do that. We need to see a lot more better things happen. We also need to see people, or not people, but the people that, whether it's Happy Caddy Crypto or whoever, I mean, there needs to be more, not just updates, but like some solid things. And not only that, just, I should say, proposals that make sense and then that get implemented. And then people can see, okay, this is working, instead of, you guys know how it is, right? There's so much guinea pigging with that. And maybe that's the thing that it has to be, but it is, let's face it, it is a lot of the, it's like a guinea pig project, let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try that. That didn't work. All right, let's try this other thing, and so on. So I do still follow it. I just don't report on it like we used to. I don't know. Maybe some people feel as though that means you don't believe in it anymore. Well, there's so much stuff to cover. There's 22,000 cryptos to cover. I mean, just because we have what we have tagged here doesn't mean that we even are able to talk about everything that's even tagged here. Like even tonight, like we have QNT, XRP. What's the other one we have? XLM, Jasmy. Otherwise the shows will be WrestleMania 5 hours every night. Don't want to do that. All right. River says, looks like QNT might hit 100 again. Would be nice. I think it's at 103, if I'm not mistaken. Cosmos is a layer 0 blockchain which is huge. Crypto.com is on Cosmos for FSEG. Well, if you're a fan of layer zeros, are you into Polkadot also? Just kind of worrying about that. All right. Magic Power. There will be incredibly large market caps in the future. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, even based on some of the numbers, even if you lowball it, right? Like we talked about last week, I don't know if it was Friday or Wednesday night, one or the other nights. basically speaking, if you take about 10% of the overall assets that was it BlackRock and Fidelity own, right? That in itself could bring a little over 1 trillion, and that's lowballing it, to the overall crypto market. Well, as we know, we're sitting at a fluctuation of 1.18 to 1.22 trillion overall crypto market. So those two are just two. I mean, we get that BlackRock's the biggest one, but again, are we going to be naive to think that only two institutions, big institutions, will be coming into blockchain, crypto, and so on? No, there's going to be a way more. So it does literally become a figure of math, and maybe we can get together and start adding up all these ones and so on. But I would say lowballing an extra 5 trillion to the overall crypto market by, for instance, 2025. I think that's honestly a given. Some people may not agree with it. I don't care. Do the research. Look into it yourself. It is basic math. And then on top of that, it could be as high as 15 trillion or more. But let's face it, with the clarity, it's just when we talk about this project, or the on ramps, if you will, it's literally institutional on ramping. I honestly think that will be the new, how do you say it? Like, if we pay attention to mainstream news or news on crypto Twitter or Reddit or whatever whatever outlets you're going through, because in reality, when it comes to crypto, you're only getting two narratives. You're getting massive crashes or the reports of everything at all-time high from the mainstream for the most part. All the other stuff that's in between, you got to go through community-driven news. But I think one of the new narratives in the future will be called institutional on-ramping. You could basically stamp it, if you will, for the future. You heard me say it. I don't think I'm the only one that's going to be saying it. Literally institutional on-ramping. And what does that consist of? It's just a numbers game. And even if you lowball it at 10%, that is a huge amount of market cap entering into the overall scheme of things in the future. And if you understand how that goes, that's huge in itself. But as the saying goes, they want to see some kind of stable form of, like, things can't be volatile and so on. So, but you're already starting to see that shift. You're already starting to see that new narrative, like literally seeing it before our eyes, all these applications for these ETFs and so on. Larry Fink, quoted a few years ago and now quoted here recently, like what was one of the most recent quotes? It's not that, the institutions believe in blockchain, but what they believe in is that, that demand for some of these things. It's like, well, you better believe some of them do believe in blockchain. At least they have an assistant or somebody telling, hey, look, here's the use case and so on. Maybe they're not taking their own deep dive into it, but you better believe that they're aware of certain things, So that's just the way I look at it. All right, Cosmos will have a 2 to 3 trillion market cap to start with. From that, that's massive. I mean, right on. DOT is actually working with Cosmos for one year. Well, that would make sense. I mean, they're a layer 0 also. So, okay, let's highlight that. Please smash that like. Let's get into some Jasmy, because we need to get into some of this stuff. And let's see here. We're gonna pull up some crypto Twitter for you. So earlier we're tracking wallets, basically, right? We're talking about QNT. Here's what's going on with Jasmy, and this comes from Dip Metaverse. You should follow him on crypto Twitter, because if you're really into Jasmy, you should be. I mean, this guy, he gives you things, leaked out information, right? He's doing research long before I have. And he's also into QNT, XRP, like myself. But anyway, here's some of the update, okay? We are now at 70 million more tokens from the deploy were added to CS 5 hours ago. The circulating supply as in CS is now at this number that you see right here, which I believe is 48,579,999,999. That means we're now up to 97.16% of the total supply. Come on, guys. Eventually, we're going to be here at 100%, right? That's a given. So there's 1.42 billion left in the deployer wallet. He's got all these references. You can nerd it out if you want, but you see where it's coming from. 5 hours ago, 5 hours and 16 minutes ago, actually more than that because of the timestamp. This was literally like early this morning, late last night. Okay. But you see it comes from Jasmy Deployer. So glad that we're still following this. That's what's going on with Jasmy as far as the supply. We're going to jump into a nice finding, right? I like it when I see people do some of this stuff, especially when it comes to Jasmy. And that is, some kind of like the deep dive research, if you will, right? Because that's something that I do as well. So I'm going to show you guys this, and shout out to this guy who's Lean 6 DeFi. He says the more he does his research, kind of like us, the more he, for instance, laughs at all the negative sentiment trolls, right? The fudders. I mean, there is just, oh my God. Like I thought there's some really bad QNT fudders. Oh my gosh. Jasmy's probably like the worst I've ever seen when it comes to the FUD. He says Kazumasa Sato is a legit businessman. He is, who has a track record of patents being granted successfully. Glad to see there's other people that are on board with some of the research I found a while ago. Okay. So what he is quoting here, and I'll show it to you guys here in a little bit, is in regards to the Justia.com patents by inventor Kazumasa Sato. And as you guys know, and I'll show you guys this section, it says 1 month ago, but in reality, it was like a couple months back. As you can see right here on the far right of your screen, I did do that deep dive, Jasmy Bombshell, Kazumasa Sato, the Sony patents, right? Because before, people were like, this is speculative. And then I was like, nope, it's not speculative. Here's the proof. And then people are like, oh, crap, really? Okay, well, yeah, really. All right, so jumping back to this, I want to show you guys a little bit more of what we have. And I've gone ahead and I've blown this up on this page. You see it's kind of blurry. So here it is. And if anything, I'm going to come out of the frame for a bit before I can show you this. I'm going to turn off some of the banners. Let's talk about this for a brief moment. Okay, so it says Nishimura and Asahi, right, states that these two bring significant regulatory and financial expertise, or experience, I should say, to the fintech sector, advising banks, securities firms, financial institutions, and startup ventures. The department covers a range of issues, including payment services, crypto assets, and financial transactions, serving both domestic and international clients. Department head Naoya Aroshi is particularly active on crypto assets and has expertise in financial regulations. Suumu, if I pronounce that right, Susumu Tanizawa, probably not pronounce that right, covers international financial regulations and financial transactions related to fintech. Also key with the team is this person, not related to Shiba Inu, but funny name, who has expertise in security tokens, NFTs, and an app-based stock trading, and newly promoted partner who is Yuki Yamamoto, who advises on digital securities. Now look what's mentioned here. Shows and references some of these people, but look at who is some of the principal clients, right? Nomura Holdings, and then right next to it, Jasmy. Pretty big stuff, right? And then it even mentions a little bit more about Jasmy, and look who's also part of the, principal clients, Mitsubishi. Who doesn't know about Mitsubishi by now, for crying out loud, unless we've been living under a rock our whole life. There's even Japan Financial Service Intermediary Business Association, Rakuten, some big names, right? But some of the principal dossiers advise Nomura Holdings on the establishment and management of remote retail. How about this? Advises Jasmy Inc. on its listing of Jasmy, a cryptocurrency, on several domestic and foreign exchanges. Our work included provision of regulatory and transactional advice, and preparing a legal opinion for submission to the exchanges. Again, think about some of the bigger players that are here. When we talk about Genki Oda from BitPoint, pretty big. And we know that he is what they call a decision maker, because he's on the FSA. Again, you don't know about the FSA, basically the Japanese version of the SEC. But again, I have respect for their version of the FSA, and I don't have any respect for our SEC. All right, going to get into a little bit more of this because it's big stuff for the most part. I don't need to show you this reference about the patents because in reality, You already seen the deep dive. If you haven't, check it out. I'll just actually show it for a brief moment. This is what he's referencing here on July 8th. I covered this video at least a couple months ago. Maybe you saw the video. Who knows? Or the case be, it's okay. I'm glad that there's guys out here sharing more of this info because, again, it confirms or reconfirms, I should say, the research, right? All right. Let's jump into this next part of what we have here in a bit. And that basically is this right here. Comes from Yanislav. We know that he's the guy that posted about the whole Binance petition. But anyway, yes, like it mentions, Hara, now is the time for Jasmy to rise. And if anything, I want to show you guys why we're referencing this because it's all about supply and demand. It says Jasmy management will be in close cooperation with the Japanese government. Now, we have confirmed a few of these things in the past, especially with some of the deep dives. So this comes from apnews.com of the Associated Press. I'm gonna pull up the article for you guys. And if anything, check this out. It mentions about some of the bad news that happened in Japan. But if anything, this is going to be great news for us. So earlier at the beginning of the show, we were talking about, somebody was saying, the US dollar is weakening, right? And it seems bad, right? But it's like, well, that's good for crypto. Again, supply and demand. So here's another particular example, right? Glitches in Japan's unpopular My Number digital ID cards draw a flood of complaints. Here's Terra Luna. And the key thing is this, if we're mentioning about the weakening of the dollar earlier, how that's good for crypto, well, technically speaking, when you talk about this My Number digital ID cards, this is good or could be very, very well good for Jasmy. Some people feel as though it's speculative, but I'm going to get to some of the key parts here that you may not have been aware of. And then if anything, let me know what you think. I think it's big. So Japan's digital minister, I've showed you guys this tons of times if you watch the deep dives, Terra Luna, he spoke during a parliamentary session on July 5th, a few days ago. He was charged with an overhaul of Japan's digitized system to assign a number to everyone living in the country. Of course, he apologized as doctors protested over the glitches with the health insurance and local governments who begged for clarity on how to handle the problems. And basically speaking, I mean, he was basically referring to this thing called My Number. We call it My Number. Over in Japan, it's pronounced literally Mina for short. It's gone afoul. There's a lot of complaints, but the government has ordered a total rechecking of My Number data one by one mechanically. As the digital agency put it, the goal is to complete it by the fall, which could be any time from September to November. But look what it says right here. Local governments have to deal with much of the checking work. Officials have met with the digital minister who, as you guys saw up in the picture, Terra Luna, demanding help. Costs for the review have not been announced. Expected to total trillions. That's in yen, so that's basically billions for us. Under this thing called Mina or My Number, launched in 2016, people get a card with a photo embedded. If you guys seen the last few deep dives, I've talked about some of these things, so this shouldn't be going over your head. But anyway, there's going to be these new cards by 2026, and apparently they're trying to start afresh. So it says, after thousands of complaints about mistaken identity related to My Number this year alone, Cohen suggesting that the system may be renamed, set off, and uproar. Now, I do want to point this out, and some people are going to say, well, this is you being speculative. Call whatever you want. Look what's mentioned here. These new cards come out by 2026. Remember what some of the KPI targets were mentioned in regards to the Jasmy management team by 2026? There's so many references when you think about Jasmy, like personal data loggers, 107 million. Why would you make 107 million personal data lockers when there's 107 million people in the country? I mean, there's just a lot of figures that make you wonder, like, that is by design. Yes, it is by design. So, and then 2026, $17 by 20. And all this stuff sounds absolutely nuts, does it not? But when we talk about some other projects, it doesn't sound too nuts. You guys are just mentioning like Cosmos and like Cool Cat Crypto, like 3 trillion in market cap and so on. I mean, nobody could have ever imagined, that BTC could have exploded the way it did, but it did. So it says from Conan that, extremely sorry, told a special committee in Parliament where opposition lawmakers slammed his efforts for what happened. He said, we'll do our best to speedily check the system and win back people's trust. I mean, again, think about what Gilbert Verdi mentions all the time, the internet trust. So we always talk about, Jasmy and IoT, but technically speaking, it's more than the Internet of Things. It is the Internet of Trust. So with the system already in trouble, a plan to phase out the existing healthcare insurance cards and replace them with My Number cards, or MINA, like they called it, by next year is drawn as still, shriller level of protest. Japan has widespread, relatively affordable healthcare. There's over than 100 million Japanese. Again, 107 million if you want to be technical. But I want to jump down to this part real quick down here. It says that a study by the industry group estimated that more than 1 million people were affected by the troubles at medical facilities between the 23rd and June 19th. I mean, that's a small population compared to the overall, but it's definitely worth paying attention to, right? But here's the thing, right? So when you get more into some of these key things, it says the digital agency has not explained clearly how the government plans to rechecking My Number IDs. It's undertaking involving the Prime Minister's office, health ministry, communications, and so on. But many Japanese, never having had to get like these IDs, were leery about the system to begin with. And these cards, they have estimates that about 77% of all Japanese have one. Now think about this for a second. 77% of all already have one. There's complaints about the current system. Now, the reason why I want you guys to pay attention to this is this. There's complaints about, for instance, the SWIFT system, right? And we understand the ISO 222 is a big answer to that, right? Having everything fully implemented by 2025 is massive for, let's face it, like the central banks of the world, some of the traditional banks of the world. So if we were paying attention to some of those things because of supply and demand, why aren't we paying more attention to what the heck is going on over in Japan about this thing of MINA, My Number cards? I think you see where I'm going with this, and I'm going to get into some of the good, juicy stuff here in a bit. Japan's reputation for attention to detail and quality technology has also been cast into question by cybersecurity lapses and failures in online banking and stock trading systems. Despite the tide of public opposition, the government is eager to push ahead with what? MINA, My Number. It's allocated 2 trillion yen, 14 billion worth in public money as a bonus points. If you're doing anything else right now, I'm telling you flat out, like maybe you haven't even listened to anything I've said on the show so far. I'm telling you flat out, if you own Jasmy, pay attention to what I'm saying right now. Like put aside everything I ever mentioned earlier on the show about talking about whatever. The mainstream news, pay attention to this. Because this is the juicy stuff, and it's not just speculative. You can connect the dots here. I'm telling you flat out, I'm looking in the camera. Listen to what I have to say about this. I'm going to repeat it one more time. It allocated 2 trillion yen, 14 billion public money as, quote, bonus points or shopping discounts for people who get MINA cards. The big push for its use in healthcare is aimed at compelling the last holdouts to get them. Now, if you're a true Jasmy holder, you've already done your research about this. Check this out right here. And that's basically this from the Jasmy management team all the way back on July 29th of 2022. And hope to God this shows up on the screen and does. Check this out for yourself. Why do we use the DD coin in the Jasmy ecosystem? Some of you guys don't even know that a DD coin even existed. All you know is that you hold Jasmy, the token. You should pay more attention to the DD coin. The data democratization coin is the pathway forward for getting all this stuff solved, right? So, like it says, faster and inexpensive transaction recorded on the Jasmy blockchain provides stable value for user data, lower regulatory risk. Now, look at this. And let's get into this. Just in case you don't know about it, traditional point system and DD coin users' perspective. Points cannot be used except for specific purposes. Look at point number 1. Specific uses are determined such as gaming, shopping, etc. Basic cannot be used for other purposes. Recorded on a server. Point values are recorded on the company's server. Let's jump back just in case you forgot and you weren't here for it. Look what's mentioned here. What does this say? That's why you should pay attention to this, because this is absolutely huge. And this is a big opportunity for Jasmy. All right, we're going to jump back to what we have here. And let me get back to that page. So it goes on to mention digital market data is analyzed and then used by the company and not returned to the user. Uses, expand with the growth of, for instance, Jasmy. Can be used for other services within the platform, NFTs, ticket purchases, and investments in fund tokens to be implemented. Oh, by the way, healthcare. Oh, how do we know that? The CARE project. Oh, who gives a crap about the CARE project, Max? That's just Japan. Oh, really? Is it just Japan? Because last I checked, Ripple is also partnered with who? The CARE project. Oh, it's just a garbage ERC20 token. Oh, I don't want to get into that. Who gives a crap? I'm not here for the Jasmy section or segment. Telling you flat out, educate yourself about the DD coin and the user's perspective. Because again, on point 3 on the right side, data value is returned to the individual. Data used by the company is rewarded back to the user. And as we know, that represents what? That represents monetization. And that also means that the freaking token, the utility of the token is being used, is it not? And if it's being used, and this is a form of stable coin, you can connect the dots of why that's so powerful for why you hold the particular token. Again, do your own research. As we get more into this, and I know I'm getting kind of, excited about some of this stuff, you can use it for specific uses. There's a cost system development, but I don't know why more people don't know about the freaking data democratization coin, the DD coin. And, for instance, this part right here, the wallet associated with my page does not open all the features from the beginning. A deposit of a certain amount of Jasmy coin is required, because some people are like, well, you're just talking about the DD coin, Max. You just absolutely trumped and ruined the whole concept of the token itself. I mean, if this is like Shiba Inu, people talking about, Bone, why hold SHIB if all the focus for supply and demand is now on Bone? Great. That's a great analogy, totally different project. Look at what it mentions again here. The wallet associated with my page does not open all features from the beginning. A deposit of a certain amount of the Jasmy coin, as in the actual token, is required to open up the functionality. So it doesn't dismiss, it doesn't get rid of the utility of the native token as in Jasmy. That's why we call these shows Do Your Own Research with Max, because boom, there you go. For fairness, it will also require a certain amount of deposit from businesses, right? Mina connected all that healthcare that utilize the user data. It's a beautiful thing. Think about the personal data lockers and so on. Anyway, that's going to conclude our Jasmy segment, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me kick it back to the comments. All right. Whoa. All right. So kind of got hot on that one. I saw a super chat come in. I do appreciate that. Real Black, $9.99 super chat. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate you. Like I always said, we got to get you back on the show. Max, one of the best out here sharing crypto knowledge and research. Thanks, man. I'm glad that you caught it on the live. That was super cool, man. And you know what? Right back at you. You provide great research as well, especially with what you have for LCX when you're on the show and so on. You know what? We're going to have Sean the Crypto Smith back on Wednesday for Utility Talk Now. We definitely, I got to either you message me or I'll message you on Twitter, and we got to get you back on, my friend. We'll figure out a good date for you, or I could go on your platform, where you prefer. But thank you so much, Rue. Really always appreciate you. And, if anything, you deserve to have a plug for your platform. Let's go ahead and show Rue Black. We'll start off with Twitter. And see, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Here is his Twitter. You can follow him on over at Black Rue, which is BLACKRUE, Rue. And he is doing pretty well. You're up to about almost 1,200 followers. Nice. He's got an update about his show times. They're out Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on his channel. He has a website, which is Dark Horse Watcher. Okay. Apparently you are also on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, different time slots. You give him a follow. And then his YouTube channel, let's pull that up for a second. And on that, he is, as you can see right here, and he does live shows. I know you do live shows because we just talked about it. He just done one 2 days ago, how he would invest $1,500 monthly. He's done other things about the odd behaviors of Bitcoin. Also talks about Litecoin. Well, what's his name? Scott Hill. If you're listening, you're a Litecoin guy. you can follow Rue Black. So thank you, Brother Rue. Brother Rue in the house. Thank you very, very much, man. That was awesome, man. All right. Let's get back to what we have. We'll leave that up there for a bit for you, my friend. Let's just leave that right there. There we go. And yeah, thank you again. What up is we got into all that crazy Jasmy stuff, right? All right. Let's see here. What up, Cash? Just crossed over to Canada. Interesting. All right. Thank you, Brian Riley. Appreciate that. That will get chopped up into a video. Guaranteed. I'll have to do that maybe later tonight. If anything, that'll be a quick one. A lot of times people don't want me to do the deep dives. They just want one that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but boom, there you go. Who knows? Maybe I do have a little more in Jasmy. I don't know, but I got so, I don't know, I guess you could say that was passionate Max right there. Anyway, so glad to share that. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, that actually did conclude the Jasmy say. Next up on the list is some Ripple XRP. Let me jump back to the comments. So not many comments, but a lot of you guys are paying attention, so that's good stuff. We're going to use this as a bookmark from Brian Riley. We're going to kick into the Ripple XRP segment, and it's not a lot, but some good stuff. So if you're waiting for some Ripple, here we go. This comes straight from Ripple. I'm just trying to get more info, news to you guys, like straight from them, instead of just like, resharing some of the community stuff. Nothing against the community stuff, but sometimes like I've been thinking about like, I want to get some stuff right, right from Ripple themselves. All right, so they reported this earlier today. The tokenization of real world assets is one of the best use cases for blockchain and crypto. Of course, you can listen in on this if you want. This is long, so I'm not going to do this, but Joel Katz, aka David Schwartz, discusses the opportunities to tokenize real world assets, because that's what that stands for. RWAs, with special guests from the guys you see here at Home Coin Finance, and also Thallo, okay, who says that they are tomorrow's carbon market, and basically on the latest block star. So as you guys know, with Stellar, they have block spaces, or block by block is what it's called. This is Ripple's version of it, and so on. All right, I'm gonna blow this up. This is a good quote. It says, "We created a product last year and were able to go from contact to funding the loan in 48 hours. That's just impossible in the traditional finance world." So I guys, I promised you guys I would do a deep dive into Propy. I'll either do it on the live show or I'll just do it in a video recorded. But I did see, by watching, and shout out again to Rich of Common Sense Crypto, there's a video, believe it or not, where Brad Garlinghouse specifically mentions Propy, which is pretty big. I mean, he admits that, you need to do his deep dive, if you will, and so on. But the reason why I'm very impressed by Propy is, as you guys know, in the past, we covered Rio, right? The tokenization of real estate. Well, Propy is pretty big as well. And on top of that, Mr. Berkshire Hathaway himself, Mr. Warren Buffett, he's not directly invested into any crypto, right? As in Propy, but it's very interesting about all the investments that Propy has involved with it. And there's a particular, I guess you could say a verification of everything that Warren Buffett is invested in that ties into that. So it's just because he's not personally invested into the token itself, there's this connection, and I'll get more into that, but it's bullish in itself. Some of you guys have mentioned Propy. I think a few of you guys are into it, maybe investing into it. Not the majority of you guys and so on, but I do think it's a good project that's worth looking into. So we're gonna get more into that, but think about some of what's mentioned here, right? I myself have been a loan officer many years ago, from 2005 to 2007, a good solid 2 years. And my key thing is kind of like what you mentioned, or not what I mentioned, but what's referenced here from Carl Jacob. And I'll restate it. Basically being able to go from contact to funding the loan in 48 hours. I mean, even here locally, I don't know if you guys have it in your local areas, but there is a real estate company, and it's called 72 Hours Sold. I think they're called 72hourssold.com. But this right here, 48 hours, that's big. I mean, that's an extra day of clearing, if you will. Pretty big stuff. So thought I would share that with you guys. There's a little bit more I want to get into, and it's basically this right here. And this one is a video segment. We're talking about, Gilbert Verdian, Digital Pound Foundation, and so on. Always gets brought up, but there's obviously other members of the Digital Pound Foundation. And of course, he recently retired, so that's beyond the point at this point. But Susan Friedman, right? She's head of policy at Ripple. She's talking about their activities in the UK and why London is the perfect environment to help foster a healthy and vibrant ecosystem. There's, of course, a full interview here. We're not going to watch the full interview because it takes too long, but this is 1 minute and 7 seconds. And if anything, yes, this fuels more of that narrative of where we're going with, hey, man, regulations do seem like they're coming up here sooner than people think. It's more than just, I think, talking about it and so on. So I'm going to play this. So please smash that like, and hopefully this is a segment you enjoy for Ripple. Here we go.
Absolutely. So I am the head of policy at Ripple, and our goal is to advocate for policy frameworks globally that encourage the development of responsible ecosystems for crypto assets, including central bank digital currencies. We are very excited about what's happening in the UK because London and the government generally has taken a very forward-looking approach with respect to fintech, with respect to CBDCs in particular. I think as exemplified by the work that the Bank of England is doing on the digital pound, including with its engagement groups, engagement with industry, and really just taking into account all viewpoints when considering when and if and how to implement a digital pound. Ripple has an office in London. We're growing our footprint here, and we're excited to be part of, what we consider to be a really dynamic environment with respect to crypto in general.
All right. It's interesting. I mean, at least it is to me. Some people may consider this the boring part of crypto, but you got to follow all of it, in my opinion. So let me show you just a little bit more in regards to some Ripple XRP. I'm just kind of trying to get through some of this stuff. Let's see here. All right, yes. So earlier we were talking about CBDCs and so on, especially QNT. I mean, it's something that's going to get brought up quite a bit. I mean, shout out to Tokenizer, right? So I'm going to come back into the frame, and what you're going to see here is a little brief outline. And if anything, it's straight from Ripple and not just from, certain content creators and so on. Again, nothing against that. So it says it's been 1 year since Ripple launched a CBD solution and private ledger for CBDCs. Explore the benefits of central bank digital currencies, what they offer. Here's a particular thread. It's not that long of a thread, so bear with me. This is some good stuff, though. This was reported on June 30th, but still valid. Didn't see a lot of, content creators retweeting this and so on. So I said, you know what? Let's bring it to our community. So let's get into this. One advantage if you're against, for instance, CBDCs, because, whether I get all different opinions about things. I mean, I look at this as kind of like I mentioned before, it's kind of like firearms to a sense. It could be put in the right hands of a good person, a good thing. Put in the bad thing, the hands of a bad person, obviously a bad thing can happen. But one advantage is financial inclusion. If we're going to talk about Latin America and so on, let's face it, those areas of the world or even places in Africa, they just simply didn't have access or currently don't have access to proper financial resources. Do they not? Yes, they don't. So one advantage of this is financial inclusion, right? The access, if you will. They enable largely unbanked populations, kind of like what I just mentioned, to gain easy access to banking services in developing countries. Literally what I just mentioned, but worded different, right? Look at this. CBDCs also drive innovation. They enable central banks and governments to adapt their currency plans through each stage of the digital currency production lifecycle. Yes. On top of this, what will the next year bring with CBDCs? Some people ask that. For people who are very against CBDCs, and I understand where they're coming from, they're like, I'll tell you what it brings, Max. It's going to bring enslavement and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong. I'm not rooting for any of that crap. Like, who would? There's, of course, a blog about this. And, I'm going to pull up some of these key things here in a brief bit. But, yeah, let's pull this up. This comes reference from Ripple once again. And this was originally from May 18th, 2023. So, about a month and a half ago, give or take. Let's blow this up a little bit more. But it's worth paying attention to, in my opinion. Let me see here. Let's scroll further down. Yes, here it is. So it talked about, the reference from a year ago and so on. But this part right here, an important advantage of digital currency is the ability to offer the world's unbanked access to financial service without high fees or established credit. I mean, even myself as a loan officer, right? Like, one of the main reasons why I got out of the loan industry, I was starting to feel like what they're doing is just kind of unethical. Okay, I'm being honest. This was during a time where I'm sure you guys heard about some of this stuff, right? Subprime loans and so on. Approving somebody who should clearly not be approved for a loan, but selling them on the concept of, hey, get this subprime loan. Oh, you only have a 580 credit score. Well, that used to be considered bad credit, but at least you can qualify. Okay, well, what's your interest rate? Well, your interest rate is, like 15% or something like that. And but not to worry, sir. Basically speaking, what you can do is, in 2 years, you can refinance, just get your credit in order. A lot of those guys didn't get their credit in order, and then of course, I don't need to preach to the choir. You know what happened, right? That was a horrible, horrible thing. And for me, it was just like, I just made up my mind, even though because I had to make up with other things like HELOCs and so on. I just told him, I was like, look, I'm going to focus on this other stuff, this subprime stuff. You want me working for this company? I'm not focusing on this. No way. You can get somebody else to do this. They're like, well, you need to, as long as you do well with the sales and so on, we won't have no complaints. And I did. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on refinances, HELOCs, which is home equity line of credit and so on. This subprime crap, somebody else, no thanks. But I kept seeing them peddle that stuff. And I was just like, you know what? Screw this industry. I'm done with it. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's good money, but that's just not me. But in reality, if we're giving people access to some of this stuff, it does help that these people who didn't have access before, they're not getting the high fees, right? You're not gouging these people just because they live in an area that doesn't have access, right? Or on top of that, established credit. So these are really, really cool things that you see, okay? So even despite of all the bad doom and gloom about CBDCs, this is, I guess you could say, some of the good parts about it. So according to International Monetary Fund, which is the IMF, working group paper titled Central Bank Digital Currency and Financial Inclusion, CBDCs in developing countries, unlike in advanced countries, have the potential to bank large unbanked populations and boost financial inclusion, which can increase overall lending and reduce bank disintermediation risk. Excuse me. Now that right there, it's not going to say it, but let's face it. If we're talking about any particular digital asset, we follow the ones that obviously not only are fast, but provide a sense of security. But let's just be honest about some of this. At the end of the day, we want to be invested in the ones that provide or are going to show supply and demand. This provides obviously tremendous amount of supply and demand for areas of the world that just simply don't have the access. That is big in itself, because even if it's not something that's not going to work out so well over here in the United States, you got to understand that there are other places in the world. Hence why we cover, for instance, Jasmy. Just like, you may not think data democratization is that big of a deal over here in the United States. Again, different cultures. Here's another perfect example. Different culture because they don't have the access. Hence why a lot of these places are referred to as third world countries. But if you provide a want and need that is filled, you provide a service that will get it done with speed and efficiency and security, that can be absolutely huge. And especially at some of these prices of, where are we at? 42, 44 cents, fluctuates from that price range for Ripple's XRP to as high as like 52 to 54 cents. So, I mean, it's still an absolute buy. Ripple, if you didn't know about it, is currently talking with more than 20 countries on CBDC on plans. Why would they be doing that? Again, that supply, that demand, giving people access in areas that simply don't have the access. Ripple has enhanced the CBDC platform to meet the needs of central banks, financial institutions, yes, governments, and commercial banks to customize their currency plans and prototypes using this particular CBDC platform. The Republic of Palau, listen to this, guys, has been working with Ripple to tailor a digital currency to the needs of their citizens. This is a great quote, so I'm going to share it with you guys. Partnering with Ripple to help create our national digital currency is part of our commitment to lead in financial innovation and tech, which will provide the citizens of Palau with greater financial access, said Suranjil Whips Jr., President of the Republic of Palau. There's, of course, some other references. I'm not going to get into all about it because, I mean, this is Montenegro. But I do like this part. What about driving innovation, adapting digital currency based on national needs? A key differentiator of the Ripple solution is the ability for central banks and governments to adapt their currency plans through each stage of the digital currency production lifecycle. Adapting CBDC plans to align with the goals of a specific country requires this type of flexible solution. At the end of the day, the bottom line is this: it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. You have to treat each and every different type of local municipalities and so on, or different types of countries, with just that, a different type of approach. One country may have different needs compared to the other and so on. How do you go about that? Well, you have to have a firm understanding of like certain laws and especially the regulatory approach about some of these things. Hence why I showed you guys, for instance, that video from earlier, right? So Ripple's highly secure CBDC platform offers the users the ability to customize the stages of digital currency production based on relationships, transactions, and distribution channels. The individual CBDC platform components include issuer, operator, but I like this part, end user wallets. Corporates and retail users who hold and use the digital currencies will utilize wallets to manage their money, send and receive it, and pay for goods and services using their wallet. So we understand already the concept of many different types of wallets. And, let's face it, a lot of us use ledgers, and there's some of us, of course, like at the beginning of the show, hey, watch out for some of these scams, especially if you hold like a hot wallet, right? But what about the whole thing like with Ripple? I mean, if they're, going to be the king of the payment rails and so on, what kind of wallets will be used and so on? And if anything, does this incentivize people to not only use these wallets, but use it for various different types of transactions based on their location, based on, I don't know, let's say they're buying property, getting a loan, you name it, right? Well, since we were on the topic of ledgers, it says CBDCs use the ledger component to record and provide settlement functionality. This ledger enables the innovation of money through programmability and robust controls that central banks and monetary authorities require. And I'll finish it off with this quote. CBDCs present a unique opportunity for the world's unbanked population to gain frictionless access to banking services. That's just the whole bottom line of it. Again, giving the unbanked. So if the unbanked already didn't have access, and people are going to say stuff like, well, this is going to enslave them, it does kind of seem contradictory, does it not? Because just because here in the United States, for instance, the concept of CBDC sounds like it's enslavement, what about other areas of the world where it's just giving them a tool that's going to enable them to have simply just that, access to the banking? While we may, basically dismiss the notion or the concept of what we already have access to, because that's just, part of being an American, you have that access. You got to keep in mind, this is a big thing for the areas of the world that simply don't have that access. And what does that consist of? Well, we're talking that literally can consist of millions and millions and millions of people, because this is various different countries with different types of wants and needs that they need, right? It's a lot of these areas, right? It could be remote farmlands, and there's not a bank within 500 kilometers of where they live and so on. So it's pretty big stuff. I mean, I myself live in Phoenix, Arizona. I could just go down literally 2 minutes and I'm at, a Wells Fargo bank, not even that. But for other places in the world, this is a big deal, right? They don't have the public transportation. They don't have like an Uber to pick them up or whatever, right? It's like you need to create like the Web3 of banking, if you will. And that is big. With more than 20 governments and central banks talking to Ripple about CBDC projects, today's announcement of the enhancements to CBDC platform is well positioned to deliver more innovation, adoption, and transformative use cases, just like what I mentioned, in countries around the world. So this, again, fuels more of that, I guess you could say, that debate of why I personally am glad I'm invested into this. Not just because it sounds fast, have finality in 3 seconds and stuff like that. All that stuff sounds great. But my biggest thing is, are there other areas in the world that is going to, this service, if you will, this product of what Ripple provides is going to help people, and not just a few people, but literally millions of people? Because God forbid that we get a Ripple loss and they have to move outside. Will they put more emphasis, if you will, on some of these other countries? I think so, but I think the people from Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, you name it, have already prepared, if you get what I'm saying, for the worst case scenarios by putting things in place of building that innovation in areas of the world that simply need that innovation. So there you go. Glad to give you guys a Ripple update, but also give you some education of, let's face it, this bad narrative that everything CBDC related is something that's evil and shouldn't be something that people have access to because it enslaves people. If I'm going to be a person that, holds a firearm, which I do, I got to be responsible about that. I also am going to recognize that there's bad players out there. You're going to have access to those tools. These things are coming where people like it or not. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and let somebody else get rich. Just like, for instance, and I'll give a shout out to Larry. He got bad advice in the past. Don't get involved in BTC. BTC is basically an enabler of drug dealers to Silk Road and so on. If he had not listened to that bad advice, he'd be a multimillionaire. And now look at the narrative. Bitcoin is freedom. You get what I'm saying. All right. Going to stop the share on that particular segment. Kick it back to the comments. The next segment we have is going to talk about Stellar's Meridian 2023 conference that's going to happen on September 26th through the 28th in Madrid, Spain. And then after that, I do believe that will conclude our coverage. All right. Let me get back to the comments. Thank you guys for being here. And on top of that, let's see here. We got Patrick Collier. He says, Max, you talking to me like I was late. Got a lecture. Gosh. No. What's FOT? I don't know what that is. Late. Oh, okay. Now I get it. Yeah. You should never type and drive or text and drive because that's bad. You don't want to crash. You're going to try to get that generational wealth. You got to be around to have it, right? Yeah. No texting, no driving. All right. Magic Power is here. Thank you. All right. Let me see how we're doing on the time real quick because I do have to go pick up this kid. Doing him a favor. 8:33. Oh, I got plenty of time. What am I talking about? All right. Well, we took a beating on the last bit of coverage. Maybe people didn't want to hear the Ripple coverage, or it was CBDCs are like, oh, I'm out of here anyway. What we're going to do now is we're going to get into the Stellar, and then after that, I believe that's it. Yes. All right. Smash that like for some Stellar Lumens XLM. Let's jump right into it. So let me turn on some things back on and create some brand awareness. All right. Here we go. And let's get into it. So it is in regards to Stellar. And here we go. All right. So here it is. And it's like I mentioned earlier, Meridian 2023, September 26th through the 28th. And there's a lot of events, right? And some people may feel it's like, well, so what? This is just another event. Like, what's the big deal? Well, this is a big deal. For one, you have this guy. Who is he? Well, the actor Idris Elba. Great actor. I like him. He's a good guy. Actor, filmmaker, and UN Goodwill Ambassador. Another key speaker is this lady, Lisa Nestor, who is the Chief Strategy Officer over at Ayrton, if I'm pronouncing that right. We have covered this project before in the past. It's a project built on Stellar. And then we also have, let me see here. What was that real quick? Oh, yeah, that's just a funny thing. This guy, Tomer Weller, he does the block by block every now and then if Danelle Dixon isn't doing it. He's the vice president of product over at Stellar Development Foundation. And then what I also want to mention was Alex Holmes, CEO of MoneyGram. Of course, we gave you guys that MoneyGram update. And then we have this lady, Candace Kelly, Chief Legal Officer. So I don't know. It's just going to be kind of a cool event, but I'm going to show you the reason why I feel as though it's a cool event. So let's jump into it for a second. This is straight from meridian.stellar.org. And I mean, most of us obviously are not going to be able to go to it. Pretty much all of us are not going to be able to go to it, right? Let's just be real about it. But here's a little bit about what it's about and why we're highlighting it for this segment. So it says Meridian 2023 Stellar's annual conference is set to take place, of course, in Madrid. I give you guys those dates. This will be their 5th edition. During these unforgettable days, they'll be exploring the theme, which is unlocking human potential, bringing together developers, founders, entrepreneurs, policymakers. And this is something that is good because, you know, you always heard literally every interview for the last, I don't know, man, like 3 or 4 months, Danelle Dixon talking about, you know, the want and need of getting real policy together. I mean, for crying out loud, she was even, what was it, back at 7 months ago? I think it was in mid-January, right after the whole bad news of FTX happened and so on. She was literally addressing Congress, giving her own take. And of course, you know, there was not a lot of press coverage in regards to that, but every opportunity she gets, she talks about some of this thing in regards to policy. So I'm glad that's going to get brought up. There's other leaders from decentralized and traditional finance for talks about unlocking access in innovative ways through blockchain tech and by extension, empowering people to meet their potential in real tangible ways. We showed you guys some of the guest speakers. One I didn't get to mention was, of course, obviously Danelle Dixon. I mean, come on, it's expected that she's going to be there. But there's obviously some more speakers. I'm going to get to that part right now. And yeah, I mean, there's just, I don't know, man. There's obviously Idris Elba. Who was this other one? Oh, Jed McCaleb, right? The co-founder. He's going to be there. I think that's, you know, they said more speakers coming soon, but yeah, I did want to show you at least the Jed McCaleb one, but I don't know. We're going to have to see what's going to happen here. Oh, this was the main area. My bad. I do like this part because they're going to share, for instance, more info about DeFi, smart contracts, stable coins. You know, we were talking about CBDCs earlier, obviously CBDCs, but this whole concept of the wallets and interoperability is big. Remittances, payments, all that stuff sounds big, but my key thing is obviously CBDCs, wallets, interoperability, remittances, and payments. A little bit of the crypto regulation, because I mean, that's obviously good news, but we'll try to take some, I don't know, key snippets when it happens and bring it to you guys. But let's face it, I mean, that's not for another couple months. So, but we'll definitely find out more in that regard. All right, I'm going to stop the share. I don't know if there's any more comments. There might be a couple. And then we're going to end the show. Well, there's no more comments. So with that said, I am going to thank you guys for joining us here tonight for Crypto Talk Now. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Again, once again, please check out our recorded section. You know, just like how you view us right now, all you got to do is click on videos, and our recorded videos are always in there. Be on the lookout, of course, for some more up-to-date content. I haven't brought you guys any recorded videos probably in a couple days. Busy with some real life stressful situations, but trying to get through it. You guys all have a great night. And if anything, thank you for being here, especially you, Mr. Magic Power, and everybody else that watched us tonight. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a great night, everybody. Over and out.